Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Ryan Sheehan, and I'm a student cinematographer currently in film school. And I just wanted to share a recent in-class project that I shot that wasn't really going to ever see the light of day if I didn't make something like this happen. But I just wanted to go through and show you guys the shots and the lighting setups that we use and sort of critique myself, and see like what I think could have gone better, what maybe was cool, what went right, and what I could do better next time. And before we hop into it, let's just give the full scene a watch and digest it one more time to see like what we're dealing with. All right, so this is our first shot. Shout out Shelby, our second AC for the shoot. But yeah, let's scroll forward a little bit here and let's take a look at what what went down. So yeah, this first shot, just to explain a little bit, sort of like a, I guess you would call a tracking shot, following our one of our characters outside of the bedroom, and so going over to the couch to sit down. Um, this is a recreation of a scene from the film It Follows. Um, and so this is, we're sort of just like recreating the scene and allowing the director to make their own choices for this scene in particular, and not necessarily trying to match the exact flow or look of the scene. Um, yeah, let's break down the shot. So yeah, let's just watch. Comes out into that warm light, sits down, ready to start the conversation. So first thing, obviously, what we can see here is dark room, starting this pretty dark room, little ambient light in here, lighting up the background. As we move forward, we kind of go from darkness into the light again. And so we do have a light over here off to the side, bouncing into a wall, sort of giving like an overall like ambience. And yeah, then she sits down. So in order to get like a better grasp on the shoot as a whole, I'll show you like our overall like lighting diagram so you can see like what we were actually doing and what the actual lighting setup looked like. Okay, so this is the main lighting setup that we had. And so just to break it down, we start off the scene in the bedroom here, and we had a little Amaranth 300C blasting into the ceiling there, giving us like a nice room tone with that warm light that I thought was pretty believable. And then as we walk out, Our main key source was our Nanlite 300B2 that's blasting into the corner again, um, giving us like a nice soft return um, on the opposite direction, sort of bouncing off this wall, filling everything here. And then our main like hard moonlight sources were a RE S60 sky panel and an RE S30 sky panel. And so what we were basically doing was whenever we were shooting knee going this way, we would shift the sky panels over a bit so that we still had, this light coming in here, hitting the back wall. And then whenever we would turn around and shoot Anaya, we moved these panels over again just to make sure everyone always had a nice hair light on them at all times and had a nice little fill off from the moonlight. And so these were at probably 6,500 Kelvin, while the Nanlite and Amaran were probably as low as they can go, probably like a 2,700 Kelvin. And then our camera was balanced at 65, and so that brings up our that makes everything colder. So that made our sky panels here feel a bit cooler, and we also added a little bit of green tint to each one, just a point 0.1 or 0.2, just to give a bit of a cyan shift to them. And then at the end, as Anaya walks out, we do have this little aperture bulb, which I'll explain about later, sort of just giving us that eye light, and just like the smallest amount of fill, just so we can still see Anaya's features in the darkness. Okay, so now we're back in our viewer now. So yeah, I'm just gonna call out things that like I thought probably could have been done better, some things that I like, some things that I think didn't work, and we're just gonna see like what we can do better next time and where we can grow. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, let me turn my brightness up here a little bit. Right off the bat, I do like the room tone going on in here. It's giving us this nice softness inside the bedroom, and so I think it's totally believable. But obviously, our eyes are attracted to the brightest thing in the frame most of the time, and you can see here in the reflection of the back window here our living room source, and so this could be believable. I don't know if the average person would catch it, but I think most people who, most DPs and gaffers might catch that. At least we can't see a stand or anything. But yeah, if you're watching, you might be like, okay, what the fuck is that? But as we move through here, definitely right off the bat, I'm like, this is way too powerful. Like, look how bright this is. This looks like we have like a tungsten light just blasting into this living room, and a little too bright for my taste. I think I was probably worried about underexposing, because we're only at 800 ISO. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so definitely we need to bring that down a bit more, right? And so especially when it comes to looking at shots later, this continuity does not fit at all. And a lot of people will tell you that like lighting in the wide does not matter, or it's okay to change, but I still think that we should be trying to just retain the continuity as much as possible. And so when we go to Nee's close-up here, or her medium shot, we're not seeing the same warmth because we turned down the light because I thought it was way too much. So, and this is why, I don't know, you just gotta think ahead a little bit more. And, that's what separates good DPs from great DPs, um, you know, or professional DPs from student DPs. So now on the medium, um, definitely that window could be argued that that's too bright, and I could be inclined to agree with that, but I do like the sort of side light, backlight, hair light situation that we're getting on knee here. And I just think all this light back here on the wall is really beautiful, especially um, the way it interacts with the anamorphic elements on our lens. But again, even here, even after we already turned down that lamp light, the nan light, I still think this is too bright, and some might say that like this is too flat. Yeah, and so you can kind of see here, like we're not really getting much definition, you know, um, which is okay. I guess if from a naturalistic perspective, um, this might be okay because you're not always going to be sitting in a situation where you have a perfect Rembrandt every time. Um, but we do have a little bit of shadow here. We did have a negative fill on the side here, blocking some of the ambience. But I do think this light is a little too hot on her. So now you can see the live process of student DP learning from mistakes as the day goes on. So here we can see that, I was like, that is way too bright. So we turn that light down. We still have this nice moonlight coming through, but now we have a bit more definition and shape to this as she looks over. But again, this is why it's so important to stick to whatever you had to start, because when you go to different shots, it doesn't look like it's even the same setup anymore. Losing that continuity really brings the audience out of the film. And so, well, the good thing about that key light being lower is that now this moonlight is reading a lot more on her face, so we're getting a lot of that. So, but yeah, definitely when you compare it to this, it's a stretch. It's a stretch. Okay, so here is kind of the reverse. We have Anaya walking into frame. We already turned down that light a little bit, so it's not blasting all over the place. It's a lot softer on her now as she sits down. And I feel like we're getting a lot more desirable qualities out of the way the light is reacting to her skin. And so you see it's kind of like this nice golden glow off of her skin now. And as you can see here, this is one of the situations where we move those sky panels around. And so now we have the S30 here, and I believe we have the S60 here. And you might be able to see a little bit of the stand right here, but just pretend like that's not there. But when you really look at it, you can definitely tell that that's a stand in the background. But on the day, I did not realize that. And I feel like an audience member might be hard pressed to see this. Regardless, you can see the nice hair light we're getting off of that moonlight. It's hitting all these little highlighted areas, reflective surfaces in the background, which I think looks really nice. I really like the way this cabinet thing here is catching that lamplight. And then, yeah, you can see nice hitting off the shoulders, reflecting off her hair, and then that lamplight, just nice and soft, lots of shape, lots of softness, hitting her there. And here we have a good eye light. So a little tip here is that try to get an eye light in your actors as much as possible, because there's one DP who said that having an eye light is sort of like giving a character life. And so if you see movies and a lot of evil or like dead characters sometimes have no eye light, so they seem more dead. But when a character has an eye light, there's a life force inside of them. So that's why an eye light is so important. Okay, so now here she goes to stand up and walk into the kitchen. We are going to follow. So here, I really love the shape that we're getting off of our lamplight here. We sort of have this nice contrast between colors on each side. As we walk in, and then as you can see back here, there is light back there. That is from the outside backyard light for this house, and since we were shooting at a white balance of 3600, it kind of made all the white lights that much cooler. So that is why we have that cool ambience coming in through the back window, the back door. Okay, so let's hop over to Anaya's close-up now. And you can see still, we did better with the continuity here. You know, we still see the nice, warm, soft lamplight wrapping around her face here. And then we still get that little kiss of moonlight just on her cheekbone here and a little bit on her forehead that I think is really nice. Okay, and then for our last shot here, this is the reverse of Anaya going to see what the noise is in the kitchen. So as you can see here, we did move the S60 back into this window position to make sure we stay with continuity on this back, because that would be very noticeable if that was gone. And then we still have that warmness, a bit brighter now from that lamp. So, so as she's walking over, we get this nice shape here. Get this nice Rembrandt looking shape on her face here. She's walking forward. And then she slowly sort of goes into the darkness here. And then I wanted to make sure she didn't fully disappear, and we still want to retain detail in the face there. So it's important to not let her fall into darkness. So as she gets closer to the source of the noise, she's walking into this other pool of moonlight coming from a little Astera bulb. One of these guys. And so basically what this allows you to do is, since they also run off an internal battery, you can kind of just Hollywood this wherever you want. So we were literally, I think our gaffer Lily was standing behind me with this light, just giving her just a little bit of moonlight, and you can see it in her eyes here, that eye light. You know, overall, I feel like I learned a lot from this shoot, you know, about lighting continuity, positioning, and intensity. And so yeah, I just want to make this video just to help other younger cinematographers think about the choices that they're making when they're lighting a scene. Yeah, so I want to thank everyone for watching. I'm not the best on camera, but if you're interested in this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I'll try to get more out here and there. But yeah, if you found value in this video, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, I appreciate everyone who watches, and if you learned something, that's great. Um, yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.
Bye.